The little boy's virus outbreak was just like that of zombies. The woman tried to calm her son down, but she quickly realized that he had lost his humanity. With no other choice, she had to strangle her son and push him into the swamp, watching as he disappeared into the mud. The woman's name is Jess. She's an excellent nurse. She had recently divorced her husband and moved back to the old farmhouse with her children. The kids, hearing about a nearby lake, eagerly take their pet dog to go fishing. However, they find that the lake has turned into a swamp with a huge dead tree in the middle and animal carcasses scattered in the mud. When Tyler tries to leave with her brother, their dog suddenly runs into the swamp. They manage to rescue the dog, but since that day, the dog becomes unusually aggressive and disappears into the woods. Owen is heartbroken, sitting in the yard all afternoon waiting for the dog. He vents his anger on Jess, blaming her for the divorce, unaware that it was caused by their father's infidelity. In the evening, Owen hears a dog barking and rushes out excitedly, only to find the dog covered in mud, its eyes glowing eerily, growling menacingly. Jess senses danger and whispers to Owen not to move, but the dog suddenly attacks, biting and refusing to let go. Jess, unable to free her son, hits the dog with a food bowl. She instructs Tyler to call emergency services to take Owen to the hospital. Jess is traumatized by the bloody scene. Her ex-husband Patrick arrives and immediately blames her without knowing the full story, leading to an argument outside the hospital room, which upsets Tyler. Fortunately, Owen regains consciousness the next day and appears to be fine. Jess, relieved, returns to work. However, she hears an alarm from Owen's room, 520, and rushes there to find him convulsing on the floor. After emergency treatment, Owen is temporarily stable, but the doctors are puzzled. Unable to find the root cause of his condition, they suspect a rare virus infection, as Owen shows severe anemia but not rabies. Owen remains unconscious for hours. Jesse calls Patrick to update him on the latest situation, but Owen suddenly wakes up, greedily eyeing a bag of blood. In a shocking moment, he grabs the blood bag and starts frantically consuming it, which terrifies Jess, who quickly takes the bag away. The doctor, hearing noise, rushes over and finds that Owen's condition has significantly improved, to the point where he no longer needs to be intubated. Jess, hearing this, hides the fact that her son is craving blood, fearful that Owen might be taken away for research. Over the next few days, Owen refuses to eat and desires more blood, causing Jess to grow increasingly uneasy. However, whenever Owen stops drinking blood, his vital signs deteriorate. Jess, taking advantage of her position, secretly takes blood bags from the blood bank to feed her son. Knowing this can't continue, she applies for Owen to be sent home for recovery and takes a large reserve of blood from the blood bank. Jess must find the cause of the mysterious illness before the blood bags run out, but Owen's tests reveal no abnormalities. His symptoms perfectly match those of acute anemia. Jess searches all available resources but can't find a solution. As the blood bags are depleted, Owen's demand for blood intensifies. The hospital, sensing a discrepancy in the number of blood bags, subsequently increases the access security to the blood bank. Unable to continue stealing blood bags, Jess resorts to small animals, but rabbit blood is limited in quantity and quality, insufficient for Owen's needs. As Owen relapses, Jess, desperate, cuts her palm to feed him her blood. Jess begins to draw and store her blood, gradually wearing down her body. Owen, rejuvenated, is unaware that he is consuming his mother's blood. On Saturday, as the kids prepare to go out with their father, Jess packs blood bags in her son's backpack, instructing him to be careful. Shortly after Patrick leaves, Jess faints, her blood donations reaching a critical limit, forcing her to find another solution. At Jess's hospital, a terminally ill patient wishes for euthanasia. After some hesitation, Jess decides to secretly store the patient's blood. Long-term anemia and psychological stress severely affect Jess's mental state. One night, while cooking, she almost sets the house on fire, but Tyler's timely intervention prevents a disaster. The next day, Jess, pushing a wheelchair, visits the terminally ill elderly lady. Helen, having no family or friends, longs for companionship, making her an ideal target for Jess. Jess easily gains Helen's trust and deceives her into the car, with Helen excitedly chatting the entire way. Helen hasn't been a guest in someone's house for a long time. Suddenly, Jess stops the car, claiming a problem and needing to check it. She prepares an anesthetic in the trunk, then subdues Helen and locks her in the basement. When Helen awakens, she finds herself bound. Jess told her to stay calm and not to make any noise. Then she removed the gauze from Helen's mouth. Jess explains her son's severe illness and his need for human blood. hoping Helen will understand. Helen refuses to cooperate, so her mouth is gagged again. From then on, Helen is kept in the basement, serving as a human blood bag. Tyler couldn't understand why her mother locked the basement, sensing something was amiss. Jess's life was already bad enough, and now Owen's condition worsened again. He was no longer satisfied with refrigerated blood and began craving warm, fresh blood, needing it to be drawn and consumed immediately. The next day, Tyler, curious about the locked basement, climbed in through a window on the side of the house, only to find Helen tied to a chair. Tyler removes the gauze from Helen's mouth, and just as she's about to ask what the hell is going on, Jess opens the door to the basement and Tyler hides under the table. Jess, carrying food, noticed Helen's mouth was ungagged and guessed Tyler had snuck in. She started searching for him. Tyler, terrified, tried to flee the basement but was caught by his mother. At this point, Jess had no choice but to confess everything. She explained to her daughter that they couldn't take Owen to the hospital, or he would be labeled mentally ill and locked away forever. Tyler couldn't accept her mother's actions but sadly realized she had no other solutions. Tyler could only comfort her brother, saying this was temporary. However, an accident happened that day. The siblings went out with their father, Patrick, who had remarried Shelley. During the outing, Shelley accidentally cut her finger, and Owen was immediately attracted to the scent of blood. Staring blankly at Shelley's bleeding finger, it was only when Patrick called him to get the first aid kit from the trunk that Owen snapped out of it. Tyler saw all this and followed to give her brother the prepared blood, but Owen complained it wasn't fresh enough. Tyler realized her brother's condition was worsening. Meanwhile, Jess had arranged a bed for Helen, hoping to make her as comfortable as possible. Unexpectedly, Helen softened her stance and expressed a willingness to help Owen. Jess is touched, but Helen stabs her with a pair of scissors and then takes the opportunity to get up and run away. Jess, reacting quickly, knocked Helen unconscious with a lamp. At that moment, Jess heard noises outside and saw police officers approaching. She quickly tidied up and went out to meet them. The police were investigating a missing person case. Having seen Helen get into Jess's car on hospital surveillance, they wanted to ask some questions. Jess, feigning calm, lied that she had only given Helen a ride. Helen in the basement heard the noise and desperately called for help. But before she could remove the gauze from her mouth, the police were gone. Then Jess went to pick up the kids. Helen took the opportunity to knock over and force stand and struggle free, cutting her ties with scissors and crawling to the basement door. Helen forced the door open with such force that she managed to escape the basement, but that's when Jess's family returned home, prompting her to quickly go into hiding. Tyler noticed the open basement door and alerted his mother. They began searching for Helen. At that moment, Helen was hiding in the woods outside the house, holding her breath and watching Jess walk away. Suddenly, Owen turned his head as if he could see through the darkness and spotted her. Helen dashed into the depths of the forest at breakneck speed, only to collide with a net and get her neck pierced by the wire. Owen, attracted by the scent of blood, approached. Jess, hearing the noise, rushed over, only to find Owen lying on top of the corpse, sucking blood. His young face was smeared with blood, resembling a zombie. Terrified, Jess immediately turned and ran back to the house to stop Tyler, who was about to go out looking for his brother. After Owen returned, Jess personally washed the blood off him and then took tools to bury the body. That night, a heavy rain fell. Tyler saw his brother standing in front of the window, staring at the distant woods, reminded of the swamp she saw when they first arrived. Tyler decided to investigate. Approaching the swamp's dead tree, Tyler noticed a large hole in the trunk, seemingly burnt. Meanwhile, Jess, busy drawing blood to feed Owen, didn't notice Tyler's absence. Exhausted, she fell asleep but was awakened by a knock on the door. Because of Owen's prolonged absence from school, the Child Protection Center was alerted. They accused Jess of negligence and forcibly took the children to live with their father. Before leaving, Tyler told her mother that everything was related to the swamp's dead tree, and burning it could save her brother. But Jess is so out of it, Tyler doesn't know if she's listening. Tyler decided to burn the tree herself. She equipped gasoline and a lighter from her father's workshop. Owen, in need of blood, set his sights on Shelley's child. Fortunately, Tyler saw this in time and grabbed her brother, indicating she had a solution, and then led Owen away from their father's house. They rode bicycles back to the swamp. Patrick soon realizes that the kids are gone and he runs to Jess's house in a rage, claiming that the kids have stolen the bikes. Jess suddenly remembered her daughter's words and hurried to the forest. At the same time, Owen completely lost control and pounced on his sister. Tyler struggled fiercely and kicked Owen away. They fought all the way to the swamp. Jess, hearing her daughter's screams, rushed over. Just as Owen was about to bite Tyler, Jess pulled her frenzied son off and pinned him to the ground. Knowing she had to make a decision, Jess asked Tyler to turn away, intending to kill her son. Unexpectedly, Owen suddenly calmed down. He told his mother to get a good night's sleep, but soon lost consciousness again. Jess had no choice but to drown her son in the swamp. After it was all over, Owen's hand still stretched towards the sky. Jess held her crying daughter and told her not to tell anyone about what happened today because no one would believe her. Owen's death was ruled an accident. Patrick insisted on suing Jess for negligence, seeking damages in custody of her daughter. Having lost everything, Jess returned to the swamp and set the dead tree ablaze to prevent further incidents. The film ends here. This is a story about letting go. The mother couldn't abandon her child turned monster, even at the cost of imprisoning an innocent to extract blood. It's not until the child loses his mind that she sends the bloodthirsty monster away. While this is a zombie-themed thriller, it mirrors a very real issue. Owen, bitten by a dog, contracted an unknown virus, turning him into a monster, just like children in real life, influenced by various factors and heading down the wrong path. They too are draining their parents. Mothers who indulge their children's repeated mistakes are even more culpable than the criminal Jess. All in all, for such a film to be thought-provoking and emotionally resonant is a commendable piece of work.